Well, it's a whole long story, but she's
They still there.
So, all right, it is 8 a.m. I'd like to call the Brimfield Township Regular Board meeting to order. Roll call for attendance,
All those
please.
in attendance, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Can everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this great weather that you've given us, a lot of opportunity to get things done. We thank you, Lord, for the commitment and dedication. I know our police and fire have just been extremely busy lately. We thank you for the road crew and all the hard work they put in. And now today, Lord, we just ask you to have your way in this meeting, just guide everything that's said and done. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
All right, announcements or correspondences? Do we have any announcements or correspondences from board members?
Yeah, Nick, I received a phone call about somebody there about the condition of the cemetery, and they had just taken care of their family headstones and mulch and everything, and I guess these young kids that are racing around there mowing, they said it's total disrespect the way they do it, and they're shooting grass all over the stones and everything. And I guess there's items that are on top of stones, and they're blowing them off. knocking them down. There's American flag laying on the ground. So I know Dave talks to him, so Dave will be back next week.
Okay.
But I mean, if I could get a number, I could at least reach out to the guy. Because 9 out of 10 times they do a great job. But I mean, trying to mow a cemetery with wet
If you like, I
grass,
can get a hold of the,
what do you want to
I
talk to?
can, yeah, I'll get a hold of the, owner. And, you want to give me that info? I'll get that information from Michelle.
Yeah, just
ABC Landscape.
Yeah, just to let them know.
I'm gonna be working up in there in the Pioneer Cemetery while Dave's gone.
Yeah.
For the next 2 weeks or week and a half or so, and I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, I mean, it just might be a one-time thing, but it's just so hard getting employees, so, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you, Sid.
All right. Any other announcements or correspondences from board members? Okay, announcements or correspondences from department heads? All right, hearing none, we'll move into meeting guests. Today, we have 2 meeting guests on the agenda. Just one presentation. Is that correct, John?
Yes. Dan's supposed to be on there too.
Oh, okay, and Dan. Perfect, so,
And I just want to add Mike's gonna.
Okay.
Tim's gonna do it.
all right, so we'll add Tim Lynn in a minute, but we'll start with Terry, Brian, and Dan, as you guys were at the top of the agenda there. So the floor is yours.
So, all right, is now Dan D. We've been working on putting that in the public infrastructure in at Maple Crest for Kenneth Tire and Hammer Manufacturing. I see Brian's here. It's been a little bit, it's taken a little longer than I expected, and it's been a little bit more challenging than I was hoping. But so we have our engineering, our civil engineering done, GPC design. We're ready to rock and roll on it. So it has, as you realize, remember this board did the TIF, but it also has something called 629 funds, and it has jobs and commerce funds. So since it was creating jobs and commerce, through the state, through Columbus, they gave us $550 for 629 funds and $150 for jobs and commerce, which is through ODOT. These funds were necessary and part of the original capital stack on the TIF, part of the original budget, and very necessary to complete the public infrastructure. So with that, we have learned that those funds need to run through a public entity. That's the way that state dollars flow through. They flow to us ultimately. So I'm not trying to put a burden on anybody, but legally they throw through either a township or a county or a city or a village, a legal entity, and then throw to us through a reimbursement. So we show bills, we show all the invoices, we show all the certified costs, and then we get reimbursed up to the $550 for 629 and $150 for jobs and commerce. And so we went from the township to the county. The county does not have the time to meet the time frame that we need to really meet. We're really ready to go. It's the season to start putting in this infrastructure. As a reminder, this will open up new development and a new parcel that currently, so when this is all done, Hamrick and Kenda, there is an open parcel that this will allow the next person to already have public infrastructure in place. So I just want to point that out because this is improving ground for a future user that won't need to wait or will already have public infrastructure installed. So long story short, the county didn't have time. It's come back. Mike's been fantastic, work with at the township. Said, what can I do to help get this done? And there's a construction management agreement that we're working to get signed, which would basically allow us to manage everything for you guys. It has to be publicly bid since there's public dollars involved. So the public bid process would be publicly posted, publicly bid, and hopefully a good contractor is low bid. It will be opened up in a public fashion, and the bids will be shared publicly, which is fine. We bid our projects anyway. Normally it's an invite bid, but now this is a public bid. That's the main difference for us. So hopefully it's a good contractor that's smart and will bid on it. So we have come to a stumbling block where I learned that our group, working with our lawyer, was a little bit maybe not as seasoned as we need to have, and we need a little bit better expertise. And you guys need it too. So it's a partnership between us. You need it, I need it. I just don't want to get anyone in trouble, and I want everybody to have a good experience with it. So in Navarre, which is a different area, the village of Navarre, I met Terry Seaberger, and Terry's been around Stark and Knoll, and I'll let him introduce himself in a second. But he represented the village, so technically against us. It was the same setup though. We all wanted the public infrastructure in, so there was no, it wasn't an adverse, it wasn't any, there was no tension of that. He was very helpful in helping the village and helping us all comply with the requirements of the public bid and all the little red tape that the government puts on funds. And I would like to have him brought in, ideally hired by you guys, and paid for out of our tip dollars or paid for by us. So it would be no financial burden on you guys. I think this would accelerate the process very quickly. Brian Eby is here. He is diplomatic, but very anxious about getting public infrastructure in for his new building. It's already under construction. And with that said, I'd like to introduce Terry.
And good morning, everybody. Dan is correct. I'm a private lawyer with an Akron-based law firm. Before that, with a Canton in the village of Navarre for approximately 28 years off and on. Started helping them with their then sewer plant expansion. Of course, 28 years later, it's time for another one. And we put together a JED, and Navarre has been in a growth mode recently, and brought us into contact with the Dehoff group because we had an industrial park, 629 funds, ODOT funds, etc., and there had to be a way to make all of this happen on a relatively fast track. I've also been doing work for a township, another village that is also in a growth mode, Strasburg. This is a little bit unusual because things are kind of on a fast track. But there's that thing called the Ohio Revised Code and the general provisions within it that govern how you have to move forward. And so, likely the same way that was done in Navarre, where we do something different. I don't know yet. At this point, I'm not hired by anybody. As Dan said, I am being proposed to you as a counsel for the township. I've been in contact with Brett Benz a number of times. He's certainly okay with it, and you probably know that. John, this is, and I've prepared a resolution. I don't know if it's your form or not, but it's the form I use down in Florence Township and for other communities. This is a little unusual in one respect, okay? And that is that I do represent not Maple Crest or Brimfield development, but I do work for what are called affiliated entities of Maple Crest and Brimfield. And I probably will continue to for some time. So why is that important? Technically, that is what is called a conflict, but it is a waivable conflict. Just so long as it's very clear up front that is what is going on. Maple Crest has signed a waiver letter here, drafted the resolution in a way such that by approving the resolution, you're acknowledging A, that there is a conflict, and B, that you're waiving it. And Brett Benz knows all of this. And, assuming you approve that, I told everybody, in terms of my rate, whatever your prior attorney was charging is fine. I don't think, especially after this morning's drive, I don't bill for travel. political subdivision as though that's where I reside and that's where my office is. So assuming I'm engaged, what I'm going to do is to try to work with his attorney to get some kind of either instrumentality or construction manager agreement that can be signed relatively quickly by the trustees, and knowing that you're doing so in accord with the Ohio Revised Code. I can't tell you, we may not have to do something different, but I think we can do it based on past experience. And then two, we want to put together a very quick bid package. I've been in contact with the engineer's office, with GDC engineering, and the prosecutor's office. We'll put together a bid package that A, is useful for the project, and B, complies with the accounting standards. So, I'm hoping in the perfect world to be back here in 2 weeks, with everything ready to go. In a very bad situation, maybe 4 weeks. 2 weeks, of course, presumes I can find a way out of jury service, in which case I need Eric Francis will be here. I can't believe that Sunday. So, and I'm also here, you three trustees that you don't know me, have never heard of me, if you have any questions or whatever, fire away.
I do have one. For Nick, can you explain the payment for Terry and how that would work?
So in this, things get awfully confusing, so I don't know if Terry can help address, but the TIF and the TIF has this TIF dollars, and it has the jobs and commerce and the 629 funds of the capital stack. In that budget, there is a line item for legal costs and professional services. If it would ever happen to go over that, I have to pay for any overages outside of the capital stack. I'm committed to put in the public road regardless of the cost. That's just the capital stack that we put in for the budget. So I don't know if you can address it, if it's just, hey, they get the bill, they approve it, they submit it to me for reimbursement or payment, but nonetheless, that should not be a burden on you.
Yeah, we'll work that out. You may have to approve the bill, and then it will be paid by them, and then they will submit for reimbursement either from the TIF funds as they come in, probably from the 629 and ODOT funds, because the TIF funds are still off in the future.
So what if you don't pay us?
Yeah, that was my concern, because, and I had sent this to John, because John sent us the
Any
resolution before the
guarantees
meeting.
we have, we can sign personally.
We can if you want.
Because yeah, my concern is with the resolution language. I don't know if we can do this or we deal with it differently. Fourth paragraph reads, whereas the township is be paid for, or payment to such council may be, but is not guaranteed to be reimbursed from the proceeds. So there's like that little catch in there that, as a board member, makes me a little uncomfortable of, I don't need the township on the hook for a private road development. Not that I'm against bringing Henrik, and I want to, but we're stewards of the township money.
Yeah, no problem.
And there's that language in there, but is not guaranteed to be. That's a red flag for me as a board member.
And it's not, I'm the author of that language, and he's giving you that guarantee. The other thing is, I'm gonna work to make sure that you're satisfied, because I represent the political subdivisions, and I know that you all talk, so.
Well, what can be resolved though, so we just have it right?
I can put it in escrow, or I can put it in a guarantee, but I'm not gonna burden you guys with this legal bill.
Well, since Talmadge is our partner, couldn't you hit Talmadge up for half this? I mean, they grab our money and walk away.
Well, Talmadge, I don't want anyone to, you guys should not be paying for any of it. Either should
We
Talmadge.
don't want to pay for anything. I mean, because all we get is the jet dollars.
Yeah.
We don't be reimbursed by it.
And I know it's coming out of 629 funds, and I'm okay with the project. I'm just not okay with the initial language here that it says, but is not guaranteed to be. I think,
We can revise that.
yeah, as stewards of the money, that would be a concern, right?
And I understand that entirely, but on the other hand, when I draft resolutions, I want to do them as clearly as possible without giving appearances of things that absolutely cannot happen. We're hearing here, it's not a problem. The other thing is, I'm not a Cleveland lawyer, so I'm not billing $500 an hour. It's whatever your prior attorney's rate was.
So we can put this off until the next meeting to sign and make the revisions and everything that work out so that you can have something written in there and you can put the right price in and do all that kind of stuff. So we'll have the right resolution to sign off on.
No, what I prefer is if you want to interlineate, that means to cross out but not guaranteed language and then write in the dollar number.
No, we can do that right now. So if you wanted to,
What I can do is later today or tomorrow email you the updated version, but when you vote on this resolution, you vote on understanding the copy, and the updated copy is coming to you, that you should, what was your prior attorney's rate?
I would have to keep that to John.
We'll just find it out and
You know,
whatever.
which one?
Whatever it was.
Can you look at that paragraph 4 with me just for a second and see if you're okay with this wording? So it's the whereas the township, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's actually paragraph 5 of this document here. Whereas the township is aware that such counsel can be paid for, can we change that to will be paid for or paid?
Here's what I recommend. It will be paid, will be reimbursed from the proceeds of the tax increment, the financing agreement, and or the.
Yeah, I was just gonna take out both cans and maybes and strike that and change those to wills. And that way it gives some protection to the township if we can be in agreement with that.
But I would also put after financing agreement, the words and or the 629 and ODOT grant funds.
ODOT grant. Okay, so let me read this just to make sure we're all on the same page. Whereas the township is aware that such counsel will be paid for, or payment to such counsel will be reimbursed from the proceeds of the tax increment financing agreement and or 629 and ODOT grant funds aforesaid and. Moving on. Is the board comfortable with that language? And or 629 and ODOT grant funds.
Well, and the one thing maybe we need to add on there is DeHoff and Associates for any overruns. Because if we run out of money in that fund, then you're gonna pick it up, right? Yeah, so put any overruns cost from the 629 funds that we don't have, that DeHoff will pick up.
We let the Maple Crest be in the room.
you can name me personally or Maple Crest, whatever you guys feel comfortable with.
It has to be an entity that's.
Well, Maple Crest, it's Maple Crest LLC.
Would that be a separate paragraph, Mr. Seeberger, then? Because that would be another whereas.
Yeah, I can tack it on to this paragraph.
Okay. So is it Maple Crest LLC, Maple Crest Development? What's the official name?
Maple Crest LLC.
Okay. I said any overages and costs will be paid for by Maple Crest LLC, and then to move into the next whereas the township has identified. Then John, to do this motion, we really need that hourly rate. What are we paying Chad? What's that? 150. Okay, just so I can write it in here and read it correctly.
And
150.
Yeah, Maple Crest LLC.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so we're not in the business portion, so this will get voted on when we get to zoning and economic development, correct? John?
Yeah. Can you do one more thing though? Can you explain the gas situation over there and why we're proceeding so quickly with all this, just for Hamrick's
All right,
situation?
so, guys, just to be totally honest with you, I was hoping to already be under construction with the road. So when it went to the county, it sat on the county. This whole project, including the construction management, has really sat on the county for a while. And they just don't have time for it. And they were nice about it. They were open about it in a meeting that was recorded. They just don't have time to do the bidding and all this. So now we're back in front of you. And so what that's done is done an additional delay. So Hamrick is building their building and they submitted for gas service. So the gas company will not extend service until there's an actual user. So almost regardless of the public infrastructure, they like the public infrastructure in, but they're not gonna just extend it to extend it. So they come out to look at it and they say, well, they missed, so unfortunately the gas company made a mistake and did not design the gas line correctly, which now has a little bit more of a delay. But now they have Kenda Tire closed and I believe submitted an application. And they know this public infrastructure is going in. And so what they want to do is do it where they know other users are going to tie on and other potential users will tie on, even though that's not, it is still their common interest. So why this is important, John, is that when we meet with the gas company and they say, oh, so this road's going in, tell us where you are. Do you guys have a construction management agreement? They're like, oh, well, why don't you guys get that signed before you come see us about extending gas? Extend gas to nowhere, Mr. Viehoff. Oh, this is happening.
So then we delay.
So then it just helps with the conversation that, hey, we have construction management agreement signed, we're out for bid, we have our capital stack done, our grants are secure. Can you please extend gas for not only Hamrick and Kenda, but this road is under construction and happening.
And then the road is going to be supervised by a consulting engineer.
Yeah, so
With money in escrow.
exactly. So this puts the county in the same position that they always are in. They're just not managing the actual bid process or the construction management. We're actually managing it for everybody. But they would inspect, they hire a third-party inspector, which we pay those fees, to make sure that it's up to their county standards and install it correctly. That'd be a great job to get if you could open a company and be the inspector.
I would add that they do a great job, and their affiliates. I mean, for example, Navarre's had to do nothing, even though we do have our own engineer, that he's very happy, that the GDC engineering is.
Yeah, it should be no different than what you see going on at Crest West or what you saw with the other project. The only difference with this is that I have that 629 and Jobs Ohio requires this public bid process.
I think the important part to note is the gas company could put an extra seat road in before they put the gas in.
Yeah, ideally, the gas company wants to be last. They must have extended some gas lines back to some other state that never had the road built. So in a perfect world, but I think we can get them to do it out of order here. But in a perfect world, they like to extend gas after at least the road is in, or part of the road is in. Does that answer your question?
It sort of irritates me that the county can't help with the amount of money we're generating for it. I mean, everyone knows Brimfield's becoming the economic engine of the county.
Yeah, I mean, just to say, they didn't say they can't help, they just said they don't have the time to
To hire some more people.
fall within the timeframe that we we are working with a guy there who's been very helpful. What's his name?
Larry Jenkins.
Larry Jenkins.
And that's always helpful.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a lot of help in the county. What I think, just got to think.
What I think is one thing I will point out, I think unrelated to this, but I think it's important. 629 funds are common and they are the most efficient funds for infrastructure for economic development. And they're available for people like us, like you, that are extending utilities for jobs and public infrastructure. Stark County's got them, Summit County has a lot. I learned just last week that Portage County has never received any 629 funds. This is their first time ever. So I did find that interesting. Hopefully this is one of many for the county and for for you guys as well. It is a great vehicle for extending infrastructure that's required.
I think that was where they were having some issues as well.
Yeah, they never.
Just how to process and how to.
Correct.
do this. So.
Yeah.
No, that's what we want to make sure we have all the facts here.
We're
before
used
this. Is there any other questions from the board before we move on to our next? Like I said, this piece will have to be addressed in the business section to vote on it, but any other questions that we're leading off for Mr. Seeger? All right, thank you for your information. We will move into our next meeting guest, which is Tinley. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I don't want to make this a political meeting. My name is Mike Tinlin. I'm running for county commissioner. I won in the primary, and now I'm up against the lady in the general election. Just to let you know, I've been a police officer. I've worked at a fire and EMS all my life. That's really all I know. I was a councilman in the city of Streetsboro. I headed up the police department bill that was just paid off last October. And basically why I'm telling you that is that I get told all the time, you can't do that. That nobody's gonna help you, you can't do that. Well, by listening to today, that's kind of like why I'm running. I don't take no for an answer. I personally think that we have the employees at the county that we need. They just need to know that they're not retired. They're still working and getting a paycheck, and that's kind of my goal. I'm not a 2-day-a-week person. I'll be there every day and watching what's going on. And I know a lot of you supported my opponent, and that's all well and good, but at the end of the day, I'm the guy, and I will be the next commissioner. If you have any questions, you want to see anything about me, Tinlin, TINLIN 4, Portage.com. I have a pretty good website. It answers questions. If you have questions, put them through to me or give me a call. My goal is to assist the townships. I spoke to Mike, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I guess. We had never really met. And I stopped by and had a little chat with him and just let him know. I am a Brimfield resident. I moved here 4 years ago. I was from Aurora. It was time to move out of the bubble and come down to reality. And the 4 years I lived here, I loved the place. Police department's awesome. The day I moved in, I used to fire department when my wife fell. So I'm real happy with where I am. And I'm real happy with where I am in my career. I retired in 07 with 31 years service. And I was working for my wife who owns a real estate company. And to be quite frankly, I got bored. I got tired of being the whipping boy. So some men can understand that. But I'm here for you guys to hear things that I've heard on the trail about the county. I know it. I mean, nobody's telling me anything new. But I'm here for you. And I will be here for you. I'm not a politician. I just get that out on the floor. I'm not a politician. But I'm here to help you move the township board. You guys are doing a great job. And I do appreciate the time to give me this support. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right. Next on our list here is meeting minutes. Let's start here.
That would be the 4th.
The 4th, I have the 6th, John.
What's today, the 18th?
Yes.
Okay, so it's been-
All right, there was just a tag in here on one piece. Okay. Yes, so the only one we have is May 4th. So I will entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes from May 4th.
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
John, or Mike, let me see, try that one. Check those other tags also.
I will entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
Yeah. I'll make the motion, but I need to add something, so I need a second.
Second.
Sue seconds. I will now open it up for discussion and amendments to the agenda.
Okay, under administration, number 2, I want to have it, discussion on stats from all departments.
Okay, so we can just call that 2A, B, C. We'll call it D1.
Okay.
Or just D. We'll just call it D. Department stats. All right. Any other amendments or changes by the board members?
Yes, I have one. Under Parks and Recs, I would like to give a report on the cleanup day.
Okay, so that would still, because that was a previous conversation, we'll put it under 1A. So old business A will now be park cleanup reports. Okay. Anything else? Department heads, any changes or amendments to the agenda? Okay. John, do we have, I only see an executive session for Brimfield Fire Department. Do we have any other executives?
Another executive session at the end.
So this will be executive session 2 period, what is it?
Personnel.
Personnel. Okay. All right, roll call vote for the acceptance of the agenda as presented with the following amendments. Administration, D as in David, department stats, Parks and Rec, 1A, park cleanup, and executive session 2 personnel.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Great. I'll entertain a motion to accept the purchase orders as presented.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the warrants.
So move.
I'll second.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, public comments. We ask that you state your name and address before addressing the board and limit public comments to 5 minutes. The floor is now open. Anyone? No? All right. Go ahead.
I do, I wait for old business.
Thank you.
I've had a few problems.
Can you say your name and address first for the board?
David Hartman, 3848 Morty Drive. I live at 3848 Morty Drive, like I said, and the house across the street has been a disaster for about a year. I have complained, I've filed with the township, and got nowhere. We can't do anything. The last I heard, we turned it over to the county, except for one thing. I went to the county, never got turned over. The house has been vacant now for approximately 3 months. The yard hasn't been cut yet. The house stinks so bad, they put it up for sheriff's sale, and it said in the paper that even the sheriff is not to enter that house because it stinks so bad.
Did he pass on?
Pardon?
Did he pass on?
Yes. It's recent. But now here's the scenario. Evidently, it's owned by some bank 4 or 5 states away. Here's how that works. The bank writes it off as a loss. They repossess the house. They write it off as a loss. Next year, you can't do that. So what do? They sell it to another bank, and the other bank writes it off for next year as a loss. And they sell it to another bank. This goes on forever. And the banks just write, I'll sell it to you, you write it off for a loss. I'll sell it to you, you write it off for a loss.
That's what goes on. There is not even a for sale sign. I saw you take pictures the other day of the house. You see a for sale sign?
No, there's not. And just to reiterate to the board, so the house has only been abandoned shortly. It hasn't been 2 years. The Ohio Revised Code states it's got to be 2 years abandoned for us to go after and get search warrants on it. We don't have a high grass resolution, so we don't enforce high grass. And then the garage door that is busted and broken on that is a maintenance thing. We don't have a maintenance violation. So the only thing that we had listed on that property was the cars that were abandoned. And those are since then been removed.
So nothing happens.
We don't have laws to do high grass or anything here because we're a township, not a city.
And why not?
We're
I
not a
have to
city.
live across the street from the house with the grass is
We're
being
not
high.
a city.
Nobody there thinks a high heaven.
So it's been 2 years off and on with abandoned vehicles. All the abandoned vehicles are done and over with. So the county prosecutor Brett is not going to do anything with it because the cars are gone. The house is abandoned, but we'd have to wait 2 years to get it.
So how long has the house been abandoned?
About 3 or 4 months from what I see.
Are all the cats gone?
Pardon?
Are all the cats gone? I know we had all kinds of cats.
Oh, no, we still have cats, all 8 of them.
Are they in the house or where are the cats now?
The garage door is broke, and the cats climb up the garage door and go into the garage. From there, I can't tell you.
Dave, was the health department involved or?
They were notified. Yeah,
Yeah.
because there was complaints on the cats and the debris and the odor and the stench, so we emailed health department from what, I don't know what happens after that.
Did you follow up with them?
Yeah. And the health department didn't show up for our 1435 search warrant as well. I just want to put that on record that we did the search warrants, we had inspections, the judge ordered divisions to come out, and the health department did not come out with the 1435 tonnage as well.
So the judge ordered them and they did not come out?
We have not seen them yet.
Just to add to Mr. Hartman's situation, right now it's not as bad, you can smell it, but in another, on Friday, you'll probably be able to smell it in his front yard and 3 houses down the street, the stench of cat. It's
The
very,
problem-
very bad.
Give you a scenario of what's going on. Okay, now, I'm not saying he was the brightest star in the sky. But what he did was, he put the plug in the bathtub. And used it for a kitty litter box. And he got a 20-pound bag of kitty litter, threw it in there, and that's it. Now, I have neighbors walking, I have a lot of neighbors that walk down the street, just, get exercise. And they're like, how can you live across the street? I can smell that house from the street.
That's why I was just wondering from the health department standards, I mean, I know the rules we have to follow in regards to checking over house, but it hits you right in the face. And on Friday, when it's gonna be 91 degrees out there, you're gonna not be able to walk that house.
We'll keep emailing and calling the health department.
Can they do
as we
something
do with the search
different
warrant.
with it? Are they able to take different action if there's a health department issue with it? Or,
Health department has more authority than us. We can't go in and zoning can't go in.
no, I mean, but what could they do to resolve any of this stuff if there was an issue with it?
It's like a wording issue. They would treat it the same way.
So really, the answer is our hands are tied because we have no legal authority. We can call the health department. I would encourage Mr. Hartman to call the health department and file complaints because it's a county issue at that point. Township law restricts a lot of things that we can do versus cities who can enact more ordinances and have more ability to handle pieces. So really the direction, I think, because there's no zoning violation at this point, there was before, that was addressed and issued and handled, which was the abandoned vehicles. Now it's a health department issue, so it needs to go to Portage County Health Department. And that's where the
I
complaint needs to
filed a
go.
complaint with Portage County Health Department, there was no complaint.
Right. So you have to call and complain to them. Okay, and Mike's saying that he sent them an email also, but we can't force the health department, they're a
Oh, I
county entity.
understand that.
Dave, what's the address of that house?
3845,
3045?
38.
Yeah, I can call the health department.
Stuff they're doing from the corner
I'll call
before you do this. on the right.
You can see it as soon as you go down. It's the one that's got high grass and it's got a busted garage door.
And I mean, we all can call, but the end resolution has to come from the health department. The board does not have the authority to deal with that. is the
That's
problem.
what I was just wondering, if there's any way you can push the health department somehow, just because Friday, it's gonna be horrible.
So my recommendation would be is that Mr. Hartman continues to call them. We as board members can follow up. We could also, the health department has their own board that they report to. If you're not getting a response from the physician in charge of the health department, then you'd have to reach out to their board members and ask their board members to act on it.
This is a health desert.
So that's really the course of action that we can do here, right? We have no legal authority, we can call, and I would encourage you too, to maybe reach out to their board. Those board members obviously are very good at this. I would have a conversation with them that, hey, we have this health issue, it's not being responded to.
Well, I would assume, I guess I'm wrong, but I would assume that when I went to township, you would say something to the Board of Health or file
We
a
did.
complaint or something.
Well, and we did, according to Mike, he's saying that he did, and
According to them, they did.
Yeah.
They even called the guy that's in charge of the department, which is on vacation.
This is not our first rodeo with them. I mean, we have search warrants for the judge orders. They're still not coming out. So, I mean, we can notify them as many times as we can, and we've notified them for our search warrants as well. They're not showing up. I don't know if it's a shortage of staff or what the issue is, but all we can do is we can send emails and call as much as we can on our end. But, I'll check with Lauren. I'm sure she's reached out to them more than once. So.
According to them, they told me they hadn't heard anything from you since January.
Okay. Well, that's
the last.
that's a lie. We've been reaching out to them. So.
I actually had a suggestion, and that is the county health department that has a monthly board meeting, so you can find out when they are going to talk to the health boards during their public speaks. And I say that I'm coincidentally a board member for Stark County's health department, which does you no good, but as a board of health member, I mean, we do listen to what the public say, and we have the ability to put a little bit of pressure on, say, the environmental staff to follow up. So find out when their monthly board meeting is and go to it.
Okay, how about an update on the house at Talmadge Road?
Going off the
1435 Talmadge.
That's on Mike's report.
Pardon?
It's on Mike's report, and so.
Because I saw the other day, the county was out there and the police department was out there.
That was our search warrant.
And then the next couple of days, I saw somebody putting new windows in the house.
It's Mr. Hartman, it's
And then I heard the house was rented out. What's going on?
when we get to state zoning, it's state zoning, when we get to the zoning, then we.
I was just trying to build something.
When we get Mike's department's.
Well, I heard it was gonna be torn down. The county had said it was supposed to be torn down.
There'll be an update in the board meeting here today. It's on the agenda.
And they're putting new windows in it.
There's an update in the board meeting today. So, all right, we're at our 5 minutes. Next person, any public comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain any safety concerns that need reported by board members or department heads. Okay, hearing none, we will move into the business portion of our meeting. We ask that the public remain, hold their comments till the end for the good of the order as department heads give their reports. Police department, the floor is yours. Roy, go ahead.
Thanks, Nick. A couple items under old business for you. Our second safety day was held yesterday. We did Brimfield Elementary last week. Yesterday, we were down at Southfield Elementary. Very good turnout there. Principal Booker was very receptive to hosting us, as Southfield Fire was a great partner with us on it as well. So I had a number of our staff and volunteers participate in that. So it was just a good event, and that was our second of those events that we're holding. Update on our vehicle we ordered on January 3rd. That vehicle is in. We're going to be coordinating with Hall Public Safety on getting that scheduled for the equipment outfitting installation. Right now, based on their schedule, I suspect that's going to be around mid-June. We'll get that piece completed, but it came in a little sooner than we anticipated, but which is a good thing. I want to let the board know our new records clerk, Cassie Moles, has started. Her first day in training was this week, starting on Monday, so she is up and running for us. Under new business, I want to let the board know that our DARE graduation is going to be taking place at Brimfield Elementary on Tuesday, May 24th at 6:00 p.m. And the second item I have under new business is House Bill 172, which I wanted to bring up to the board to discuss this morning. And that bill is relative to the discharge of fireworks. On November 8th, Governor DeWine signed into law House Bill 172, which legalizes the discharge of fireworks in Ohio on specific days of the year. This legislation is going to go into effect on July 1st of 2022. Basically what this is doing now, previously there were restrictions on discharging fireworks. Now that's been permitted on a series of holidays each year. I'm bringing this to your attention as a board because counties, cities, and the verbiage here reads, and some townships have the option to either ban fireworks or to restrict the times and dates that they can be discharged. As I read the word some townships, that may be an item that needs to be clarified depending on what the board's wishes are. If you want to if you're comfortable with the legislation as is, you don't want to make any amendments to it, versus if you think you want to try to do something to restrict dates and times on that or to ban it outright. The question comes to my mind is whether you can do that as a non-home rule township. That would need to be clarified, I think. But this is up for discussion because with July 4th coming up here in the summer and people letting off fireworks, which they do every year, regardless of what the statute reads in the revised code, July 4th is usually a big one for us, and as is New Year's. Just making you aware of that you do have the ability, if you want to, potentially restrict that as far as dates and hours, or to not adhere to this, there may be to do that.
It's illegal right now for them to shoot them off, right?
Correct.
So if we restricted them, we would make them illegal and they'd still shoot them off?
Yep.
What would you do?
They'll still shoot them off.
I think that's the question, right? Like, I don't like passing resolutions that we can't enforce. How effective is our department going to be driving around chasing fireworks on July 4th?
Right now, on July 4th, the skies are lit up, as you know, probably lit up in your neighborhoods. That's a no-win situation for us. Normally, most state folks realize that and generally will tolerate that until it gets into the late hours. And then maybe if it's 1 a.m. and someone's letting off a firework, okay, we'll get a call. We'll come out, try to address that issue from a noise perspective, from being disruptive. But generally speaking, we'll get those complaints on July 4th, but I cannot put our staff in a position to quote unquote enforce that because I need to bring in about 50 police officers and do nothing but drive around and enforce the fireworks section of the law, which is kind of one of those things where it's like on those holidays, everybody realizes they do it. We'll come out if we get called, particularly, like I said, if it's late night, early morning hours where there's noise issues. So
Would it be beneficial for you and your staff if there was a time restriction, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., or is that not, it's just kind of a mute point and your recommendation is people are going to?
we would come out regardless of whether you guys did something with the resolution today or not. If it was 1 o'clock in the morning, we're going to come out and respond to that call for service if a resident calls us for that. I'm just bringing it to your attention because it's on the radar that this law has been changed and there's going to be a series of days through the year where it is going to be legal to let off fireworks.
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking more for direction from you. We're here to remove your roadblock, right? So is this an issue for you, or you're like, we're still going to continue to do what we do?
It's an issue for us on the main holidays where people let off fireworks, like it is for everybody else.
Right. Okay.
I don't know that. If your question for me is, well, gee, if we put a restriction on 20 hours, is this going to make a big difference as far as how we would approach it or our calls for service? I don't know that it would have an effect on that.
Okay. That's the clarification I was looking for. Mike, Sue, John? Okay.
I'm not asking you guys to take formal action today in any way. I wanted to bring it to your attention that there may be some ability for you to do that as a board if you chose to do that.
Right. No, I appreciate that. And we can each individually dig into it a little bit, but at least I wanted to see from your perspective what your thoughts were too.
Yeah, we get those calls.
Okay.
But
Craig, is there a concern from the fire side?
No.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board? All right. Anything else, Roy?
no, not right now.
Anything else for the police department from the board? All right. Hearing none, we'll move in the fire department. Floor is yours, Craig.
Okay, thank you. As usual, I start with my station update. This time there is no update really to it. We've still been adding block and steel to the building. Had some rain the last few days where they've slowed down a little bit, but nothing new more than that at this point. Wrapping back around, I know we don't like to talk about COVID, but COVID numbers have increased slightly. In the month of April in the state of Ohio, they averaged 443 a day. As of May 1st, it was 1247 was the average for the day. Just wanted to let you know that even though there was a slight increase, we're not seeing the increase in transports in Brimfield. But those numbers may have already went back. I'm just not hearing too much about that. Next, we gave a firefighter test on May 6th. Actually, only 10 people came and took the test. So we're seeing those numbers dwindle more and more. We had 17 signed up, 10 showed up. Out of that group, we do have qualified candidates that we interviewed yesterday through the lieutenant's interview, and we feel confident there's a couple in there that would meet what we need for. I'll let you know as that process continues. The only other thing not on the list here is I did apply for a state grant for hire and retention funding. So that application has been put in. There was no cap on the dollar amount, so I went for $1 million. So I don't know. Shoot for it.
Why not ask, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't hurt.
Just letting you know I did apply for that. And that is all I have for the fire department.
Okay. Questions for the fire department? All right. Hearing none, we'll move into the administration section. There's nothing under old business today, but we will move into the new section. The updates, 2 pieces here just to give the board an update. You should have received an email from Connected HR with their HR weekly activity report. It was emailed to everybody. They are working on the handbook, which is in process. They modified the introduction section and requested feedback on open communication, employee honesty, ethics, and the privacy exemptions and workplace searches. We also got advice, legal guidance on the at-will statement, and that was done by Chad and has been turned over to HR to put into the handbook, and they're continuing that rework. They met with Sue Fields on Friday and prepared and mailed the return to work documents for an employee who is on FMLA. Mike Kosinski, they should have reached out to you too on that FMLA case. Did you talk to her? She left your voicemail.
No, she did.
Okay. All right, it says that she reached out and left a voicemail for our return to work because there's some things that you're going to have to do with that under Parks and Rec. So
Will she be there Thursday?
This is her vacation week, but she is available via phone. She'll be there Tuesday next week. So either day, either by phone or Tuesday. She reviewed projects and sent them over to me. She did have a question, her weekly update email. She is just used to send it to Craig. She now sent it to me and wants a update of do we want it sent to all the board members and the 3 trustees in the fiscal, just to me, then I disseminate it. How do we want that done?
I would like to receive it.
Yeah, I would like to,
You would like just a email to all 4 people?
yes.
You wanted that?
Yeah.
Did he ever call you back?
And everybody should have that in their info. You should also have from that meeting from them is a first quarter status report. We'll get to that question, Mike, in a minute. First quarter status report. Everybody, this was sent about a month and a half, 2 months ago to everybody from HR. And there was also an initial impressions review from HR about what we need to work on. They're looking for feedbacks on this. But she also identified several opportunities, including bringing out more approaches to policies and procedures of the township, implementation of standard operating procedures for several key areas, including FMLA, salary review, retention of employee files, and performance evaluations. She also has suggested a review and updated job descriptions and titles. And she conducted a Fair Labor Standards Act audit, one needs to be done to review exempt and non-exempt status and ensure compliance with those pieces. She also identified that looking forward to prepare for the plan for response to the growth of Brimfield Township, staffing, we need to improve recruitment, selection, and hiring practices, performance related to helping supervisors assess an employee specific and overall performance, compensation and benefits, staying competitive with local markets,
which we've already worked on that some with the salary piece, training and development, management training, supervisory and non-supervisory training, team building, career development is in key areas that no training has been provided in the past. Compliance and record keeping, tracking state and federal employment law and requirements, keeping manager, supervisor informed what they need to do, and maintaining accurate records to improve compliance with government record keeping. So she's identified some weaknesses there for us also. So she's looking for direction from the board. I would encourage everybody that was March 31st to take a look at that document and provide any feedback or direction we would like the HR firm to move on moving forward.
I would like for you to resend that first quarter status. I was in the process of my computer not working and I was waiting for the laptop to come in.
Should have still been in there, but I will resend it to you again.
Am I concerned? And I mean, I know we're paying them what, $2,700 a month? Okay, so this basically, she worked for us 4 days. Now this month, there's gonna be 2 days she hasn't been there. Do we get a discount?
So I talked to Mark this morning. He returned my phone call this morning at 6:30. And I had a conversation with him on the way in. I asked that question. He said, look at the contract. The contract allows for 4 weeks of vacation time.
So he said what? So he said it's in the contract?
Yes.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I know you like him.
Listen,
Sure. I mean, you only work 4 days a week. For God's sake, send somebody else down to help. I mean,
right.
I wish I could run a business this way.
But they're consultants, so they also work at
Consultants,
3
yeah,
other.
$2,700 a freaking month.
Hey, I'm good.
4 days.
Listen, this is a board decision. If we want to move in another direction, I suggest
I
we
don't
do.
know. I just-
However, I will tell you, this board is in non-compliance of a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I mean, there is issues with HR. And I, as a board member, have identified that and brought that forward to this board.
Well, I mean, that's
And
your job and that's fine. I'm not arguing about it. I mean, we were.
I don't
talking-
want to see this township end up in a lawsuit.
You know,
I think that's a concern.
we had legal help with this before with Chad Murdoch, and you, for
You're
some
right.
reason, did not like that. Now,
Okay, let's talk about Chad Murdoch. Let's not.
we're not going to argue.
I'm not arguing.
I'm
I
just
have
telling you,
the
I
floor.
am one board member, and I can say
I
something.
understand, and I am making this comment.
I give an executive session.
We'll do this.
No, I'm going to have a comment on this right now. We sent something to Chad Murdoch. Do you know what his response to our HR manual was? Added the word Brimfield Township, Brimfield in front of township.
I have
the document.
I have any problems with Chad Murdoch.
I have the document. I'll send you the document if you'd like to see it.
Fine, but this is a board.
You're right, and I'm
And
bringing it to
I
the
am
board.
very comfortable with what we have. We've done it for all these years.
Yes, you're very
Yeah.
comfortable.
And then, I mean, it all
Are
we
we able to have
started.
an executive session right now?
No, we don't need it right now.
Well,
If you want one, that's fine.
I can't request one.
Okay.
You guys.
Well, we got all these people here.
Okay.
I mean, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Let's add it.
Why not have the conversation now in front of the public? Why does everything have to be hidden?
Well, because one thing, you're dealing with a contract, and contracts have the privilege of going to executive session first.
I understand that, but the question is, what would you like the HR department to work on? Are you asking for a motion to end a
Number one,
contract?
I understand they're sending us stuff, but I called them. I purposely left my number. That man has yet to call me back. And he tells you, I talked to his secretary and she took the number down. John was in the office. He has yet to call me back. How hard is it to get a hold of me? I mean, the only one he calls back is you.
And I've tried
And
several times.
the bill came to you.
And I sent that to John.
And John told him multiple times that we want this changed. You know, Nick, you're a young father. If John decides not to pay it, that bill is on you. This is
But there's also a motion on the floor.
This is an HR company that can't get the billing straight.
Then make the motion, Mike. Make the motion.
I'm not making a motion. I'm just talking.
Because you're frustrated because you don't like the things that they are finding in our township. There
I
are
haven't
issues.
even read the things.
Your email, maybe you would know that. When's the last time you checked your township email?
I don't use my township email.
That's a problem. That's next on our list when we get into information technology and cybersecurity issues.
I know, Nick, you're
Can we
at a
move
different
on?
level than me.
You're right.
Government, I'm not government.
You're right, because I understand the issues that we're facing. I think you're burying your head in the sand on some
I'm
of
not
this.
bearing my head.
Can
I believe so.
we push this off until we meet?
It's-
I'll knock it off and move on to the meeting. You can
I'm-
do this later.
I'm trying to give information, but.
Okay, well, thanks for your information. We'll talk, I'm gonna make a motion that we have an executive session due to a contract.
There you go.
Okay.
and then we'll talk about it. Because
Next up on the list is human resources job descriptions. We no longer have a township administrator position. All job descriptions report to a township administrator. How should we move forward with that?
Okay, all for the job. Do that again, say that again.
We have job descriptions, all job descriptions. There are several job descriptions that report to a township administrative supervisor. That township
Okay,
administrative
what I-
supervisor position no longer exists.
I will make a motion.
How do we change that?
I will make a motion that they appoint, first step, they would go to you, since you're a central figure. Okay, and then they'll go to John, and then John will forward them to where you think they need to go. Because we need to have a person that's there all the time, so, and you're there 5 days a week.
So say that one more time again, so
I'm making a motion that in the job description, it is changed to go to the fiscal officer, who is in charge of the records.
instead of HR.
Right.
No, instead of administrative supervisor.
Instead of administrative supervisor.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. Is there a second to support that?
Second.
Okay, for discussion. So we are now asking a fiscal officer in charge of finances to also handle the personnel.
Not to handle the person, just to receive them, and then to pass them out to.
So he will be the day-to-day operations person for the personnel, the fiscal, that is the motion, correct? I just want to make sure I'm understanding this.
How's it sound, John?
I just want to read it back here. Move to make the fiscal officer the day-to-day operations. What's that word that you want me to put in there?
Not operations, because you're not gonna do that, just to
No.
receive any,
Daily contact.
daily contact.
Move to make the fiscal officer.
But the question was related to job description, so it says who they report to. So they are reporting to the fiscal office, all staff?
What do you mean job descriptions?
The job,
I know you're getting at something, so just tell me what you're getting.
I'm getting at that the job descriptions specifically say there's a reporting structure on the job descriptions that were passed by the board 3 years ago. And in the job description, it says they report to X. For example, police officers report to the command structure in the police department. Our administrative
Roy,
staff,
who have you been reporting to? Because I know you weren't reporting to the township administrator.
Nick's my liaison.
So you're reporting to your liaisons?
Yeah, any communication that I go back and forth with the board or need to share,
Okay,
Nick is my
so-
main point of contact.
So the way we'll clear this up is they'll report it to you, and then they'll report it to the liaison.
so they have a dual reporting. They need to report to the fiscal officer.
So there's a record of it all coming in through John, and then you, however you
Well, if
determine.
they go to the liaison after that point, then I don't need to pass it on to anybody else, right? Because
Right.
that would be in the liaison to the board. Is that how we want it?
Yep.
That's how you're.
Because
So why are we having-
basically, that's all a liaison is for, is to pass the words from the two ways. Because any board action, the liaison has to pass it on to the department head. If they have something they want passed on to the board, we bring it to the meeting and pass it on.
Administrative supervisor still leaves the question of day-to-day operations. Who are they reporting to?
They should not have to report to people day to day.
Okay.
We hire professionals. They
Okay.
run their departments.
Okay.
I mean, for years, we've never had a township administrator.
Okay. So you're asking that the job descriptions, just so we're all clear for the record, you're asking that the job descriptions state that they report to the fiscal officer and their assigned liaison.
Right.
Okay. So that's an amended motion on the floor. Any other discussion on the amended motion? Okay, roll call for the amended motion.
All those in favor? Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
No.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, there was a question raised about from an employee at one point, and then also from HR, that we did the salary increases. With the salary increases, did we ever change the step raise document that we had implemented to show the step raises for staff moving forward? And a status update on that.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I was writing stuff.
The step raise document. So we increased the salary for people. We did a salary increase.
Correct.
We had a step raise document that we were operating in. Has that salary spreadsheet been updated to reflect that, or are we no longer doing the step raise document?
It has not been updated. I think we should still use it. It just hasn't been updated yet.
Okay, so that's just an open item.
Yep.
Okay. All right, moving into information technology update, cybersecurity, and LastPass. I was advised when I met with Brian from IT, John, that you purchased LastPass for staff.
We did for 400 and, well, it was $420 or whatever that, $4,200, sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, I thought it was like $4,000.
Yeah, it's $4,200 for the, from a security perspective from our IT supervisor that was recommending that we do that. So we have proceeded with that.
All right,
I have a question.
go ahead.
We voted on a amendment change. Do we need to vote on the actual amendment? We voted on the amendment, but then the first one that came out, do we have to vote on
It was
it?
voted on as amended as changed.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
All right, so the last pass was purchased. John, you approved that, and
Yes.
that is now available for staff.
That should have been in the purchase order.
Okay,
It
I saw
was.
it there. Okay. Cybersecurity update, Brian updated me. I see our score was below 40%, which is alarming. He's working security for our township for all employees. So next, there's been continued discussion about our website here in the township and issues with it. The question becoming, the police department is also having some issues with their website and unable to control a lot of the changes that they want to make to it. Do we as the board want to continue asking Brian to move forward with gaining information on how to rebuild the website and finding a company to rebuild the website? The thought was this: the police department needs to do it because they need to regain control. They're exploring with that out of their budget. But do we want to create a website that is similar in look between the police department and the township? Creates more flow into the set of two separate pieces.
Craig, do we have a fire department one out there as well?
No, I use the township. Just a point of discussion on that. Nick, I followed up with you on an email communication. I had an opportunity to have a Zoom session. Her name is Evan, digital marketing out of Stowe. Brian unfortunately had an obligation. He was out of the office. Brian was going to sit on that with myself and Captain Atkins. He wasn't available to sit on that, but I did follow up with Brian following that. We had an informational session kind of discussing the look and feel of the websites for the township having a similar look and feel, right? Follow up with her on our meeting. They have done some work for some other towns east in Portage County. So I shared that information with Nick and with Brian. I believe Brian's going to be following back up with her to get more information. So there is a path forward to kind of explore this. If this is something the board wants to pursue, I just wanted to make you aware of that.
I think we should. I mean,
The problem with the website is the one that we had built for us worked while we were under contract. But there's a lot of custom code. That custom code results in we change one page and it breaks 6 other pages because of the custom code.
Yeah, I thought we had talked, I know we talked about this a year ago at least, and I thought he was starting to work on a new website.
So they weren't working on building a new website. They were working on trying to fix this
Yeah,
website.
but we
and
had
keep it
to
going.
talk about how this website was not working and that he was gonna have to build it again. I mean, that I thought was done, moving forward. So apparently it's not.
So from the discussions that have been brought to me in the past week is that the website is the point that it needs to be rebuilt. So we
Okay,
need
and I
to explore
know-
options.
And I know Brian has so much to do. How is he gonna find the time to build a website?
So what his suggestion is, and he did express that concern, is outsourcing it. But kind of, if we outsource it, the problem is that if you outsource to one type of developer, some developers will use custom code. When custom code is used, Brian and the police department are going to struggle to make internal changes to maintain it moving forward. If Brian can be part of that hiring process, that investigative process to find the right
That's what I
firm.
would suggest. Because he knows, I don't know anything about this custom codes. Let's have Brian bring us some suggestions.
Right, well,
and meet along with Roy and the police department, and you guys can kind of come back with the whole.
That was my initial discussion with both of them is, hey, can we do this as a collaborative approach? Because then you take a website and you get it so that it is similar in look between the two of them. And there's not stark contrast, and it makes it easier for Brian to maintain stuff and us just to have one host.
Well,
server
and also we're going to have administrative staff that might be making changes to those, so I don't have.
Right.
Well, let's,
Police working on a different one than
Right.
township. people.
just so we keep track of all this, let's make a motion.
Okay.
That we're gonna have, we'll make a motion that Brian will will run this thing, but he'll have to, I don't know, who do we want to name with him to help? Do we want Rochelle? Do we want, let's just have a team built that we can get this website going. And for Brian to bring us some suggestions.
My suggestion would be,
Well, second it so we can.
we got to finish the motion, who we want on it. So my suggestion for a motion would be this. It's a motion to have Brian and Roy work together to find the developer first. Then when we get into building it, we can bring a team
my
together.
motion. We'll use your motion.
Okay, so the motion is to have Brian and Roy from the police department come together to bring proposals of 3 website developers.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Because once we do that, then we can put a team together of what we want it to look like, right?
Right.
But if we get this whole team together, I think it's just going to confuse the developers while we're trying to hire one. Because really, it's more about, we want somebody that will just use WordPress, base issues, and no custom code. Then we can work from there.
Okay, so I seconded it. So we're second for discussion.
Yes.
Roy, since we're going to have this opportunity, do we make your website part of this whole website? So it's just one website?
We can have that discussion. There's some things we've got on our site as far as community crime mapping and data statute you can get off of ours or some
But
other
if we're
things.
going to be the same platform.
I think the discussion originally was similar look and feel. When you one look at another, they're going to be very similar look and feel, how their images are set up, et cetera. And the company that had the Zoom session with our money, I think she understands that. I think she sees exactly what we're looking to do. So we can do a number of options on that. I don't think we're locked into it one particular way.
Well, just something to look at. I'm not
Yeah.
telling you to do it, but
Sure.
since I know Nick has always said
Logistically.
something about this.
Well, logistically, when we talked about it, we can make that happen behind the scenes, but them maintain their web address so they don't have to change all their documentation. So their web address is there, you land there, but then there's a home button which takes you right to the township page, right?
Yeah.
So those 2 IP addresses exist, but they work in conjunction with each other.
Just
I can work with Brian to bring you guys some information. Take a
we have
look at it.
just, I've been here 20 years. We have had nothing but problems with websites.
And it's just
Over and
control, you're right,
over
it's
and over again.
control issues, the main issue, being able to edit and adjust, yeah.
Yeah, just get this thing solved.
And that's where we need to get away from just a basic WordPress site.
That's good. Okay, so we have the resolution, but make sure that
There's
Brian
the
keeps-
motion on there.
Yeah, the motion's there, so make sure that Brian keeps us informed as this process goes forward.
Right. Okay, roll call vote for that
All
motion.
those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
2 additional pieces of concern. Migration. Right now, we use Dropbox. It is expensive and it doesn't allow for file sharing and security issues. So he'd like us to slowly start to migrate to OneDrive, which will be part of our Microsoft suite, which would save the township money in the future. And it'll make things more secure for us, which will change how we kind of put the meeting documents up now. But he's working on that from a security issue.
And just so you know, Dropbox is kind of getting very difficult to work with. It's just becoming clunky.
Right, and that's why he wants to migrate us into that, but that's going to be a big project for him.
Yep.
Also, network mapping and documentation. He kind of puts pieces together here and there. He asked if he can get some proposals to bring to the board of network mapping and documentation software. What that allows is if Brian disappears for some reason, or Brian's out sick forever, or wins the lottery, whatever it is, we actually have physical software that shows us mapping so that we can chase problems down. Another IT person can come in and manage that, and also how those routers and everything were put in.
Okay.
Right now, it's just on scratch pieces of paper. I think the question is, the question is, are we good at moving forward with him looking for some software options to make that secure in the future?
Well, I think that should be his job. He's telling us.
Okay, I just want to make everybody aware of that. Then lastly is the fire and administration build project. Brian asked about solar panels and what we were going to do with solar panels. Right now, our solar build, our new construction only allows the use of the old panels. The old panels are outdated. And so where do we want to go with this?
Well, they're still generating power.
They're generating some power. The problem is there's no monitoring or battery connections on those panels. They have limited life left. We're not even sure if they'll make the move without being broken because they're just brittle from being up there for so long.
Well, I know Brian, I saw the report and I saw Brian's got all the highways and bills all over the place at the fiscal office, trying to track that down. It's a very difficult process, but right now we're trying to figure out, is it worth us spending, because NOPEC is the money that we're wanting to spend on that.
Right.
If
That
it's,
was, that was where the initial grant was.
yeah, that's where, yeah, we bought them 10 years, 12 years ago, whatever it was. We're trying to determine right now what the cost savings is going to be versus, or what the cost is going to be versus the energy that we save. I don't believe we have that finalized yet in regards to.
I sent that out late last night to everybody. I'm not looking for a motion today. I just wanted the board to be
Was it
aware.
finalized with the energy projections that he had?
Yep,
Okay.
you got all those numbers.
I
So,
did. There's a chart, right, that you had.
yes, spreadsheet. I asked them to break out the 6 options that exist and what the return on investment is for those options. So they are in your email. I encourage the board to look at that because if we go with larger options that have a better return on investment, it may require some changes to the initial roof build over at the township. And we want to make sure that A, we have spaces for the inverters to go and batteries to go, and B, that structurally it's built to do this.
And Craig,
So-
that's still gonna be a pitched roof where the solar panels are at right now. That's still
Well,
gonna be
I prefer
pitched.
to put it on a flat area, but then Brian's working on that. I don't.
Well, I think and Brian had mentioned that if we put it on a flat area though, that it requires a bunch more setup and waiting and versus putting it on a pitched roof, you can just bolt it right into it. And you don't have to do anything.
I guess my
So I
opinion would be I'd prefer not to spend 20,000-30,000 to add structural components to save 20,000. So
Brian,
but I don't know where that's at.
Let Brian
Can't
answer
answer that.
So speaking with the representative from Moody Nolan last week, we identified how much the asphalt roof can hold, and the solar panels are well within what that roof is designed to hold. The roof's designed to hold like 20 pounds per square foot. Solar panels clock in about 2 to 4 pounds per square foot. So there shouldn't be any architectural changes needed to put solar panels on pitched roofs. Putting it on a flat roof becomes very expensive because you got to sand 20 pounds per square foot. We have no excess load for snow during the winter, so on and so forth.
Is that an asphalt roof, Craig, or is it gonna be a metal roof on
Asphalt.
that? So we haven't determined yet, I guess, is what we haven't figured out.
Right, but I wanted the board to be aware that there is information out there on solar power options and what the return on investment is for this.
When you guys look at those options, the first option is we take what we've got and we just put it back on the new roof when it's done. Solar panels today, if we replace the existing panels with new panels, will generate more than 3 times the power. So that's the next option, that we at least replace what we got with new stuff, and that stays within the scope that we have from Moody Nolan and Rycon. So there's no delta in the cost, that we at least make sure that when we have the contractors put equipment back in that's within scope, that it's modern equipment that we can grow with. And then there's some options that go beyond that allow us to grow even further, because I project that we're going to have higher energy costs and electricity going down the road.
Okay.
So 3 times more of the energy.
Yeah, the array that's on that roof now is about a 1 kilowatt array, if it works. I know it's not generating anything right now. They had to disconnect it as part of construction. Same size array purchased today is about 3.3 kilowatts, so more than 3 times.
What do you estimate the cost of the solar panels?
$300 a panel for a 330 watt panel. So that array going in on the roof, if we were to just replace it with new panels, would be around $3,300 or so.
How many do we only have 10 up there now?
There's only 10 up there.
Okay.
Could we have gotten more? Because that's all we could put up at the time of the grant. We just used the grant.
Oh, we can put up a lot of panels on the roofs once they're done. Those roofs will handle a lot more panels, and we could cover.
Now, the energy will still be turned back into the grid.
So the way it works is that you build out your solar to be able to cover your usage, to essentially null out your bill. And we can do that with lots of room to spare. And instead of selling back to the grid, we can get batteries down the road that will hang on to our generated electricity, so we can use it at night, we can use it on cloudy days.
Because that's the way to go, because when you sell it back to the grid, and they only give you a discounted rate, they don't give you the full rate.
So.
Gets
according to the
lost.
State of Ohio.
Gets lost with first aid.
When you sell back, you get a credit, and it is a 1-for-1 credit. So think about, you sell back 1 kilowatt, you get 1 kilowatt back from the utility. Where it bites us is that we still have distribution and transmission costs in both directions. And that's where a lot of your electric bill comes from. We have a negotiated rate of like 5.5 cents per kilowatt. But the reality is that after we add in everything else, it's more like 75 cents per kilowatt. So it's in our best interest to try and store what we can on site. We could sell back to Ohio Edison, but most likely they won't let us use those credits in any of our other accounts around the township. So we couldn't generate a ton of electricity at the town hall and then pay for, let's say, this building's electric. So it keeps it right where we want. So that's what we generate and store on premise and then sell back as kind of the last resort.
Well, and how Craig Yard Station, do we have electric outlets there for future electric cars, that kind of stuff? Are those being built in? Or is there a step or space for that?
That would be additional.
But I mean, we're having a spot though to put that if we needed it?
Well, you would have to add that
Okay.
under the asphalt and everything, so that's additional.
And working with Moody Nolan and their electrical engineer, Len, it's doable. That there's the chaseways, the pathways, the conduit, it's all there if we want to add it in at any time.
So if we ever got the electric car or trucks down the road, we could put that in and use that battery power to help charge those as well?
The infrastructure that they're building electrically within the new building can handle charging regular electric vehicles. Charging fire trucks and stuff is some other day, some other plan, some other project.
Well, I know you have a decision already made up. What's your thoughts? I'm gonna read your thing, but what's your
Okay,
thoughts?
so, there's what we can do in scope right now. And speaking with the architects, there's a little bit of a change order that's not gonna ruffle any feathers, where we install 3 larger capacity inverters because it is a 3-phase building. Right now, we only have 1 inverter, and it's pretty limited. We have no monitoring. We can't tell how much money, how much electricity we're generating, how much we're sending back to Ohio Edison. It's flying blind. 3 larger inverters to meet future demands that we can ask the electricians to install. It's a suitcase-sized box that just gets bolted to the wall. They're already on the hook to bolt 1 to the wall. Bolting 2 more to the wall and running the wires is not a big delta. So my preferred option is option 5 in what Nick sent out to you. Larger inverters to handle future load and future solar panels coming in later after the project's done. And also, what's in scope is also replacing the existing solar panels that we have with modern solar panels that generate more electricity. And it really comes down to what do we have in NOPEC funds to pay for these upfronts.
So I don't see the purpose of installing old panels.
Well, that's why we're trying to get a price with the NOPEC money, because we have 3 potential things that we're gonna do, HVAC stuff over at the police department. Your sign already got kicked off.
Yeah, I anticipated that.
And then siding for this building, and then the solar panel. So those were the 3 items we had. We were just trying to figure out, because we got like $52,000 in there right now.
I think it's a nice statement to the township if they see us doing it. And I really like your idea of putting in some charging stations.
But we
That's
should,
coming.
because we're gonna have electric trucks here in the next
Can't
5
even get an
years.
electric truck.
I know.
If we want to buy them,
I know.
we get them.
I know.
So maybe we should look into that.
I should have my electric truck next month.
Oh, shit.
Great.
Did you buy one?
Yes,
Ford?
yes, it's getting built next month.
Nice. Regular driving
So,
truck.
see, that's,
I know.
you need one over there.
Remove this.
We need to start thinking about
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why don't we just, Veronica, we can sit down later and go through the numbers and make sure with the MOPEC dollars where we got, and Roy will keep you up to speed. Because I know yours is, we're trying to fix something that could pop up. It hasn't broke yet though, right?
Yeah, it hasn't broke yet, but I'm gonna use, his feedback was, we're polishing up a turd. That's what he said. The HVAC system over there just was kind of, when it was built, really wasn't built to the proper specifications. So we've kind of done patches here and there with it. So what he had proposed with us was making some further adjustments to that to make it better and avoid those issues. I don't have any final numbers from him yet.
Because it can, we get another lump of money, hopefully. The NOPEC stuff is still going on, right? I heard there were some changes with NOPEC. Did anybody hear about that at all?
So NOPEC, yes, there's a potential changes with NOPEC. NOPEC is the energy provider that is for the county, decided by the County Board of Commissioners. The County Board of Commissioners last year tried to change that to CCAO energy provider. However, they found out in that change process that they were still under contract with NOPEC, and there was some pushback from the townships. Their contract is set to expire. I don't know if it's in 2 years or 3 years here in the near future, though. And I know the county commissioners are interested in switching over to CCAO. The reason that they want to switch over energy providers is that CCAO is offering a discount up front for end users. It'll save our citizens roughly $40 to $60 a year in energy costs. However, CCAO does not offer any financial grants to local municipalities, so we would lose out on all that grant funding.
So 23's funding, the possibility of having all that will still be there with NOPEC, right? That what we're assuming.
That's
right
what I'm
now?
assuming at this point, unless something changes at the county level.
Because worst case, we could put off your polished turd until January of 23 if that worked with the building of the, I don't know what the timelines are with.
Actually, I would propose reversing those two.
Okay.
Because the build for the new structure is such a long build, we could probably purchase this stuff in the next round of NOPEC money, or purchase part of it if we've got any left over after taking care of the PD's HVAC system first.
Okay.
If we get one more round of NOPEC coming, I think we're set.
I don't know those numbers yet. I can bring them to your attention once I have.
Yeah, because we usually get about 25,000. We got a little bit more this year because there were people that didn't use it, and we got a lump sum of money given back to us because we did use all of ours. So I don't know how much we get in 23, but I think we probably around $75,000-$80,000 we'll have for this year and next year grand total. So we need to figure out how we.
But we'll always have energy needs, simply after we have that money coming in July.
Right. But I'm worried that NOPEC's money goes away in a couple of years and we don't have any electric money coming in. But
And that's a while, there's nothing we can do to control that. That's a commissioner about.
okay. You're good. We'll talk about it. All right.
That's all I have under admin. We'll move in unless there's any questions under admin. All right, here now we'll move into zoning economic development. Mike Ladd, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. You all should have received my trustee report. There's 25 items on it. If anybody has any questions, in order to expedite this, we only put a few here on the sheet. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask those. Those include the Walmart extension, an expansion, Hickory Hill subdivision, the nursing home, Aldi's, et cetera. New businesses, we have progress with 1435 Talmadge and 1863 Old Forge abandoned home violations. The reinspection of 1435 Talmadge was done on May 11th at 12 o'clock. We're awaiting inspection sheets from all the departments. We have set dates on 1435 Talmadge that they need to succeed on. It has come to our attention that somebody wants to purchase that property, renovate the entire property, and they are working with our attorney on that as well. Search warrants were obtained on Wednesday, May 11th, also for the following properties: 4545 State Route 43, 1354 Brimfield Drive, 5305 Mogador Road. After inspections, let the trustees know of the status. To answer your question, with the health department, they were notified several times over the last 9 to 10 months by Lauren, and Andy Boole is your representative on that particular house. She just texted me. So you could follow up with Andy. We request board approval zoning fee sheet. We only revised one section of it. This is the temporary vendor as requested last meeting, and Sue, you can pass those.
Okay.
It's highlighted there. It's no fee for nonprofit or township sponsored events.
We didn't change any of the other fees.
No other fees. The only fee that's changed right now is the highlighted, no fee for nonprofit or township sponsored events.
Okay.
What was it before?
Still at $200, but you guys requested that the temporary vendors not pay for the township sponsored events or any nonprofit.
Okay. Okay.
Because remember, we were having the issue with Brimfest, any other events that happen in the community. If it's a nonprofit, they were having to pay $200 and go through the whole inspection process.
So this is waiving that.
So this is saying that there is a no fee for a nonprofit or township, but they still need to submit the application and go through the police and the fire. So we're still making sure we're doing it safe. We're just not charging the nonprofits and the township events. So for like the summer concert series, we wouldn't have to pay that $200 to have a food truck there. Okay. Any questions on that?
Does that have a date on it, Mike?
It does. It's updated 5/10/22.
So
I'll make a motion the updated version of the township zoning fees reflect the 5/10/2022 statement.
I'll second for discussion. Any discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, roll call for acceptance of the fee change.
All those in approval, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody that came in attendance here. Next on the agenda is the request for board approval of Maple Crest Road Extension Legal Services with Terry Seaberg. Mr. Seaberg is here as well. I did speak to you, Hamrick. I appreciate you guys coming here. We're trying to expedite you. We appreciate you bringing your business here. We're very excited about having you guys here. And we're doing everything we can to get that gas line installed for you. This is part of that progress. So I promised you that. I promised you at the Portage Development Board. We're excited that you're part of the board as well. So welcome to that. You're a great asset to our community as well as Kenda Tire will be. So, and thank you, Dan, for all your hard work with this. This is up for board approval now.
Okay. So I'll make a motion, a resolution engaging council to assist with Maple Crest Industrial Road Project, whereas Brimfield Township, the township has been working cooperatively with Maple Crest LLC, Maple Crest and its affiliates, including Brimfield Development LLC, and with the Portage County Engineer and several state of Ohio agencies, all to develop an area generally known as the Maple Crest Industrial Park. And whereas to facilitate continued economic development in the industrial park area, the township has entered into a tax increment financing agreement with Maple Crest and has further applied for and obtained funding from two state of Ohio agencies in the sum of $700,000 for the improvement and extension of Maple Crest Parkway to accommodate such economic development. And whereas time is of the essence, as new development contracted to occur along the as yet unbuilt Maple Crest Parkway extension, and whereas to assist and advise the township with respect to agreements and documents with respect to all the foregoing, it is necessary to retain counsel. And whereas the township is aware that such counsel will be paid for, or payment to such counsel will be reimbursed from the proceeds of the tax increment financing agreement of force agreement and or 629 and ODOT grant funds aforesaid. Any overcharges in cost will be paid for by Maple Crest LLC. And whereas the township has identified Terrence L. Seaberger of the law firm Stark and Knoll as an attorney qualified to assist, said qualifications including representation of the Village of Navarre, Village of Strasburg, and Strasburg Franklin Joint Economic Development District with respect to economic development and infrastructure construction issues in particular, and further representing Lawrence Township, Tuscarawas County generally. And whereas the township has been advised that Mr. Seaberger has represented and currently represents Maple Crest affiliates, and the Maple Crest and its affiliates have waived any conflict arising. And whereas the township also waives any conflict arising out of this agreement, understanding that Mr. Seaberger will not represent either Maple Crest or Brimfield Development or any other related entity with respect to Brimfield Township matters. And whereas the township recognizes that due to the urgency of the Maple Crest Parkway Extension Project, Mr. Seaberger has begun the work necessary for the representation that is subject of this resolution, which work is compensable, and now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Brimfield Township. The Board of Trustees, acting through its board chairperson and fiscal officer, shall engage Mr. Seaberger at a rate of $150 hourly with no charge for travel time for the limited purpose of assisting and advising the township with respect to all aspects of Maple Crest Parkway Extension Project and all documents and agreements related in advice provided before the date of this resolution. I need a second for that motion.
I'll second that.
All right. Any questions from the board on the acceptance of this agreement with those changed languages that were discussed during meeting guest time?
Yes, on the last two paragraphs,
Yes.
when you read it, you said, agreement, and the word there, in both places is
Or
engagement.
engagement. I do apologize.
So do we want engagement to be there?
Yeah, we'll leave it as an engagement. Any other questions?
Can I have your copy? Because I know you wrote different things. I just read it all, so when we approve.
Yes.
I'll get
Can
you
I?
the original back.
Yeah, I'll just take a snapshot of it. You don't have to send it back to me. Can we get roll call for it?
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed. Get your shovel, start digging out there.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I'm gonna make them for that, and then I'll email them to you.
Mike, do you have anything else for the board?
No.
Okay. All right. So that concludes the zoning report. Do we have any questions for zoning and or economic development? Thank you, sir. We look forward to talking to you.
We did skip
Thank
over
you,
my staff.
Mike. Thank you for that 26
that? Oh, I'm sorry.
item
Thanks for
We'll
having
do
me.
that at the
thing,
end of the meeting.
the
Okay.
2-page. That was very thorough.
Put your trust in us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
We'll do what we can do.
We're excited to see these buildings come up. They're looking, I tell you, I drove back to that building, looks beautiful.
Yeah, it does. But I just appreciate you guys' help.
Thank you.
Nick, I'm gonna take a quick week.
Any updates?
Okay, I got mine
Oh,
here.
you got it? Okay.
Dave's gone. He was on vacation. I saw he had a couple of things here.
I don't know if this was old stuff, because I thought this is stuff we talked about last meeting.
Yeah. This is old stuff.
Okay, so there's no update for road department?
Well, I got this report.
That's old.
It's the old one.
Well, it says May 18th on it though.
I mean, we already talked about the bill.
Oh, it is new because the council house stuff is just got done.
Yeah. Trees still need grinded. Sherman Road, he did a great job there. Did some dirt patching. You guys can all read these. Cemetery, they're trying to get in there. And I talked to Cody about both part-time workers. He said they're great. In Cracksville, and they still, we did talk about Estes Road. And because the guy has that big hole in the middle of his yard. So Dave is now waiting for the county to come out and finally tell them exactly. They've had some movement where they can figure out where the old easements went. That's what he said. And Dave is actually considering having it done.
Having somebody do it.
Doing it, because it's going to be a big project. And they wanted to have, he had contracted with a company to put an electric device down there. But with the amount of water, they weren't able to do it. I think we talked about that last time. So he has them going back out to do that. So it's going to cost us a little bit, but at least we're going to know what we're getting into. I mean, if it's 100 feet, they can do it. If it's 500 feet, we don't have to. It's better to hire someone to just come out and do it.
Did he start on Sherman's trees yet? Sherman Road's trees?
Yeah, they're all gone.
Are they, did Kenyon at the corner of Edson and Sherman, are those all? 'Cause I know he's waiting to get a hold of Troy Kenyon. Cause he had a
I have
line
not
on the
heard
side
of
of the hill.
No, it says tree work on Sherman Road is halfway completed.
Okay, so he's probably still needs the one by Edson, because those ones are on his property, but they're leaning over the road right now.
Well, those ones that farther down on Sherman were terrible. Now the county, or Ken has some problems because on that section of Malloy Road,
That's almost a cave down there now.
it is
The roads, trees hanging over there. The road's destroyed down there. They ever gonna pave that?
Dave Roller says they're doing it this year. Mike, did you get a chance to talk to Tina Dillon about that mound? I saw you had it up.
Yeah, I'm actually going up again, I'll change up there, so I'll see her again.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll have some updates.
so they
It's
are
gonna be-
talking
it's gonna be-
possibly moving it soon?
This fall,
Okay.
we're finishing up everything, it's gonna be there for a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
When are they putting the parking lot in up there? Just curious.
It's gonna be probably August by the time we get in there.
So all the lights are up now. The parking lot lights are all in.
There's a lot of mud up there.
All right, and just, I don't know if you drove over to the council house, all those trees that were leaning towards the council house are all gone. So that one that was on, right on the side that was eaten through by whatever bug was in there is not a problem anymore.
All right,
Okay.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Recs, I just have a real quick couple statements. This is the third year that we've had a spring cleanup day. And that was the first Saturday of May. And we had 80 vehicles come in. And some of those trucks came 2 and 3 times. You know, they went home and got more. So we were real happy about that. We had 3 dumpsters. One was for electronics, one was for metal scrap, and the other was just trash that had to go. All 3 of those were full. And I just really appreciate everybody who participated, and I know we're gonna do it again next year too. But just really appreciate it. We had a good time and met a lot of people and chit-chatted for a while and got good response from it. Thank you.
Thanks for doing it, Sue.
All right, anything else for Parks and Rec? Okay. All right, no update on Parks and Rec. We'll move into cemetery.
I don't
Anything for
have anything
cemetery?
for cemetery.
All right, nothing for cemetery. We'll move into fiscal.
Do you know, just on cemetery, that next week they're gonna spend the whole time out there cleaning up for Memorial Day and make sure all that's done? Are they all up now? I know that Rochelle's been making sure all the veteran things, and we will not miss that same.
Yeah, I talked with Rochelle and with the Memorial
There's
Day
multiple
thing, it's
stickers
all
all
ready.
over that one, and
She's done a wonderful job on that.
That's in process. And Sue, can you kind of just go through what you sat down with her about the Memorial Day?
Yes.
Did you guys all squared away?
She's all set, got the program all planned, everything's ready to go.
Is the band coming? Fields band?
I don't know.
Okay. It's at 11 though. 11 on board.
Is it 11 or 10?
11.
It's 11? Okay.
Yep. Okay, that's all. I just want to make sure. Everybody knew.
All right.
Okay, under the fiscal office, we have an amounts and rates that we need to approve for the county. It's a normal thing that we do all the time, so.
Once a year. Has anything changed?
Yeah, the amounts and rates, but those are the county that puts that out, not us.
So we're just accepting the county's document.
Right, yeah. We're approving the amounts of rates presented by Portage County to us.
I'll make a motion to accept the,
Second,
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
yes.
Sue,
yes,
motion passed, thank you.
John, does this document that was put in front, not this one, but this other one here, does this need a motion on it also? Schedule,
Well,
summary
we didn't
schedule
have
for prior?
We didn't have it wasn't on the agenda, and I was thinking about not even putting it on there right now. I was gonna put it on next week. What you have there in front of you are all the prices, so I'll just make a point, I don't wanna take any action on it, but these are all the surrounding cemeteries.
No. This document for fiscal. It's sitting in front of me and says Nick needs to sign.
now, John, that first one that you have, I didn't see that.
Oh, this is the auditors report.
Yeah, we need a motion on that.
No, I just wanted you guys signing off on it that you got. Well, I don't think so. I think you guys just needed to sign off on it.
Because here it's saying we reviewed the draft audit by your office and are aware of the results for the audit for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2020, 2019. We do not wish to have a formal exit conference to discuss these results.
Yeah, there isn't a motion that we need to make. That's just by the auditor. We just need to get that signed.
No, it's from the board to the auditor.
Right. We just
So
have to get it signed and sent back to them. You can make a motion that we're approving the audit letter to go back for.
Is it normal that we don't have an exit conference? My question, because we're signing off in writing to them saying that we're.
Correct. That's normal. They still come in and talk to us about we just don't have an exit conference before they come in and talk to us.
Okay, that was my question, because I didn't know if we need a motion since we're requesting not to have that, or if we can just sign it and we're done.
I believe I've never had a motion before.
Okay.
We've just signed off. And they're the ones that would ding me, and they never have dinged me because we didn't have one.
Okay, it was just sitting in front of me, so I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, that's why I forgot that was out there, and I forgot it was still out there.
Okay.
Did you guys get the cemetery stuff though?
It might be not in front of us, but it's probably in the drop box. This, I don't have it in front of me.
Well, what we did, just so you know, and this was on the, it was gonna be under fiscal office, not cemetery. Simply because we think we need to revisit our rates. We got Kent's, Brimfield, Rootstown's, and Talmadge's rates. Ours haven't been adjusted since 2014. So I don't know if we want to look at them. I'll get copies to you guys if you don't have them. It depends.
I think we should look at them.
We should look, but we're higher than Rootstown. Talmadge is way up there, and Kent's just a little bit higher than we are. But what I did is I just got the surrounding cemeteries around us so you guys can look. I'll get copies. I'm not ready to ask you guys to make a motion for anything. We just need to look at it and make sure that we're comfortable with what we're charging. So this has been 8 years since we've done anything with it.
Anything on the land that we're looking at?
No, you heard anything on the land?
On what?
Cemetery land?
No, nothing yet. We made an offer and we haven't heard back.
Are you able to follow up with them today and see if they accept it or?
Yeah,
Did
we haven't
anything?
heard anything from the attorney.
That's been a few weeks now, hasn't it? since
Yeah. He said,
Okay. Yeah, let me know what they come back with.
Okay. Anything else? For
I
this
just need that thing back down again.
one? So you got to sign that and give it back once you're done.
I did,
Okay, John needs it for his records.
I know.
Department stats.
Yes, department stats before we talk executive session. Good.
Hey, guys, the one thing I sort of miss is back when we had stats. I mean, I noticed Craig put them on his report this time, and Roy, when you put them on, those were just good to have. And then Mike, you know, it would be nice if you could maybe put new citations, old citations.
I
You
have a
know,
lot.
just not bulked in one thing, so I could see if we increase or decrease.
I'll
you
just add
know.
that monthly to my report for you.
So I just wanted to make a motion that we go ahead and require stats from all departments, just so we can keep them, you know, we can see them. I appreciate the big numbers. I would just like to see the week-to-week numbers, if it's okay.
So I'll second that for discussion. Do we want to have them just bring some initial stats back and then we can see
Well, like they used to put them on their things, like I noticed Craig did
Yeah.
this. And,
Right.
you know, I
I
talked
can
to
do
John
that.
about it the other day.
Yeah, and then, I mean, but we can take a look at it at the next meeting, because we might want more stats. Like,
Right.
it'd be nice to see the difference between EMS calls and fire calls.
Yeah, I like to compare them from year to year.
Right.
And then, you know, like building, how many homes have we built? I hate to keep bothering Mike every time when I want to know how many new homes come in, you know. They don't have to be anything fancy.
So that's
just-
good. I know. It's easy. I can add that. No problem.
Yeah, just something easy.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Fire department.
Just glance over it when you get a chance. Are you looking for something like that?
Just like we used to, it's just it's a 10-second thing. You can look and see.
Well, that's for the whole year of 21.
Right.
That just tells you what hospital we went to, who
Oh, this
transported.
is too detailed.
Okay.
But no, I'm glad you're doing that.
Year-to-year comparison, month to date,
Yeah, just to see.
22, 20, 21.
Yeah, I would say, year
Thanks,
to,
Craig.
annual to annual, even like that current quarter to that current quarter.
Current week.
We're trying to see increases, areas of concern, so that maybe we can help identify
I'll give you
roadblocks and
those.
what we as the board should be putting in place to remove those roadblocks for you, right? To make things easier.
And I know, you know, Mike's generated a ton of money. It's just, I want to know how many we're getting from homes, you know.
I could break it out however you want to see it.
But don't go to a big effort, just,
It only takes.
it was like Dick used to do. He used to put them out, you know, we know how many new homes.
Sure.
I know it's a lot, but
Actually, not. The residential homes this year is down.
so with the mortgage going up to what, 5.84 or whatever it is, now they're gonna kick it up again. Okay, so that, motion, excuse me.
Yeah, motion is second. So roll call.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
John, can I get that executive session sheet? so I
Yeah,
can read
let
it?
me, hold on one sec here, as I'm trying to figure out, I got Craig's, but I'm trying to figure out where ours is.
So I'm gonna try to I'll get a hold of Erin, because I'd like her to put
That's the point.
how many rentals we were getting, you know, all that stuff. John, we did have an issue with you saw you had to do that refund for $50 for the community center.
For here, yes.
Because that thing, when you plug in a crock pot, all of a sudden the whole thing goes out.
So the electric's bad over there?
Yeah, Brian, I talked to Brian about it, and what happens is you can't get technical stuff in there.
Okay.
So meanwhile, they're sitting up here and they can't use the microwave and they can't, you know what I mean? So
Okay,
Brian has a good grasp on what he needs to do to it.
okay, I'll talk to him about it. Nick, which one do you want to put ours, the township, or the trustees, executive session on there? It's. I think it's gotta be, the body shall hold an executive session for the discipline of an elected official for contact related to performance of elected officials, office official duties, public bodies holds its. I think it's number one, but I don't.
And there's the investigation piece we're still working on, so we could talk about that. But you know, the contract related to the HR firm, that has to be on open floor. There's nothing to protect the discussion of that contract.
When were we gonna discuss that, or we were gonna do the, mean, it was to talk about, I thought, for the board members to talk about liaison responsibilities and for us to be able to discuss going forward with stuff. Appointment,
We're not appointing any new employees at this point, are we?
no, but if we change liaisons around, you'd be appointing a new liaison. If we discuss, because we're discussing that, I believe. We can't talk about anything with the contract. We have to talk about that on the floor.
Yep.
I'd say one and then appointment.
So there's 3 executive sessions then, one G1 appointment, G1 investigations, and then Craig's was for the
Well,
negotiations.
we could have 2 because it's going to be just the board in for the 2.
You're right.
But then we'll have Craig in for the fire department one. So we would have 2.
It is for us to go into executive session, move to convene an executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G for the purposes of considering the following manners. Where's the contract for fire? Because we need to go in there first.
He's already got that one. Well, here it's-
4, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms in consideration of employment. In that executive session would be the fiscal officer, 3 board members, 3 trustees, and the fire chief.
Yeah, I have his over here. He already checked number 4. Craig filled it out. We just needed to make the motion.
And we need a second for that.
I'll second.
Craig, is there anybody else you need in that meeting? Okay. Roll call for approval?
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes,
Motion passed. And let's just do the other one here real quick. We do them back to back.
Yep. And then move to convene an executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G for the purposes of considering the following manners. To consider the appointment and or the investigation of charges or complaints against public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual, unless the public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual requests a public hearing. I need a second for that.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
yes.
Okay, we're good with that then.
Okay. We are
Did we ever get a key for that room up there?
adjourned to executive session. We had a motion last meeting that they are to
Well, not Washington, Washington State. He said it's unbelievable out there. There's some places you drive down these highways, there's rows of homeless people living in tents.
All right, we are on. All right, so we are exiting executive session, John. All right. First motion on the floor is a motion to change liaisons of having Sue Field as liaison over zoning and economic development. I need a second for that.
I will second.
All right, we're going to make this transition through the end of the year and reevaluate at the beginning of the year.
Effective today.
Okay.
All those in favor? Mike? Yes. Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
And I don't think we have any other motion out of that meeting, correct?
Nope. Nope.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will make that motion. All those in favor? Mike? Yes. Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Adjourned at 11:13 a.m.